Attention please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching, yes, the Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network.
It is another gorgeous sun-splashed afternoon in Florida. The fans are finally into Steinbrenner Field, and it is time for baseball. As the Yes Network presents New York Yankees baseball. Today, it's the New York Yankees against the Detroit Tigers in an exhibition game from George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, Florida. Welcome to Yankee Spring Training, presented by Montefiore. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball, along with David Cohn. I'm Michael Kay. Today we get to see the Yankee ace, Gerrit Cole. He was everything he was supposed to be when he came over as a free agent last year. Won 7 games in the regular season, shortened season, of course, and 2 games in the postseason as well. And David, the Yankees need him to be more of the same in 2021.
Well, I agree, Michael. I mean, he was as advertised last year coming over, and he was signed to a huge deal to lead your staff. And when you have a premier power pitcher like Gerrit Cole leading your staff, there's a residual effect that really carries down through the entire rotation. I expect more of that this year, and we get the full slate this year. We get to see him for an entire season.
Now, we're going to see him today with Gary Sanchez behind the plate. Sanchez had lost that assignment toward the end of last year and in the playoffs, but no personal catchers this year, said Aaron Boone. When we come back, lineups, first pitch, baseball, Yankees, Tigers, next on Yes. Yankee Spring Training on Yes is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official SUV of the New York Yankees. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Beautiful day in Tampa, Florida. Those that are at the beach, some might make their way to Steinbrenner Field. Yankees have taken the field. Here's the starting lineup that the Tigers will send out. Robbie Grossman's in the left field. He'll lead off. The third baseman is Jeimer Candelario. He'll bat second. Greg Garcia at second base. Wilson Ramos, the DH, cleans up. Nico Goodrum, the shortstop, will bat fifth, batting sixth. Right fielder Riley Green. Jake Rogers will catch, he'll bat seventh. Daniel Pinero is the first baseman, hitting eighth and batting ninth. And playing center field, it's Garrett Hill. And that lineup will face Gerrit Cole, David.
Yes, Gerrit Cole's first outing of the spring, and it's worthwhile to watch, even though he's probably going to go about 2 innings. You see, last year in 12 starts, 7-3 and a 2.84 ERA, 94 strikeouts, only 17 walks in those 73 innings pitched, and those numbers tell you a lot about Gerrit Cole. And our scouting report, as we said, as advertised, he came over, signed the big deal, took the money, and really came through for the Yankees last year. It was really all they could have asked for, and I think when you look at him in a full slate this year, it's going to be exciting to see what he can do. And then also, you know, settling in, you know, and this will be his first full year as a Yankee and leading that rotation. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does this year.
Let's take a look at the Yankee defense. You've got Jay Bruce in left, Aaron Hicks in center, and Ryan Lamar is in right field. Infield, Derek Dietrich at third, Tyler Wade at second. Tyro Estrada will play second base, and Mike Ford is over first. Gary Sanchez behind the plate, and Gerrit Cole is on the mound. So Robbie Grossman will start it off. He's ready. Gerrit Cole's ready. Let's do it in Tampa. And the first pitch is swung on and missed, and we're underway. Grossman signed a 2-year free agent contract during the offseason with the Tigers. 2 years, $10 million. Last year with the A's. Pitch a little bit low, 1-1. So Cole 7-3 last year with a 2.84, and he also won a game in each of the first 2 postseason series, and then pitching on short rest in the ALDS finale against the Rays. Yankees didn't win the game, but he pitched very well. Yankees lost their opener yesterday against Toronto, and the Tigers won their opener against the Phillies. just missed inside. Home plate umpire is Jerry Lane, and Cole, in mid-season anger, wanted that call.
Good velocity so far here from Garrett Cole, up to 98 miles an hour.
Everything will work from Cole. And he is the ace of the staff. After that, whichever way you want to line him up, Kluber, Tyone, who we'll see a little bit later on, Jordan Montgomery, and whoever wins the 5th starter role. Lined into left field, it's a base hit. So Grossman goes the other way and starts the game off with a single. We told you it's beautiful weather down in Florida. And it is, in fact, that. As it was yesterday. It's 82 degrees, feels like 87. A little bit of a chance of rain. Humidity is 69%, not much wind. Ready to roll. Yankees and the Tigers, and a crowd of about 25% at Steinbrenner Field, which is what they allow down in Florida. It's about 2,500 they'll let in. And Candelario with a deep drive to left field, going back. Bruce on the track at the wall, and he makes the play. All the way to second is Grossman, and he hustles back to first.
Nice play by Jay Bruce, staying with it, fighting the sign. He's got the shades on, and well timed, right up against the wall. It's not exactly robbing him of a home run. It would have been off the wall, but nonetheless, an excellent play from Jay Bruce.
See, Grossman had rounded second and had to retrace his steps, touch second on the way back, and got back to first. Garcia swings and misses. Always tough on outfielders in spring training. There's not that second deck where you could gauge the fly ball against the background. It's a lot of blue sky. Ground ball to second. There's one. That's all they'll get as Estrada fired to Wade. So Cole will face one of the new Tigers, Wilson Ramos, who signed as a free agent. He is the DH today. Last year in 45 games with the Mets, had 5 home runs, 15 ribbies. Fouled away. Now there's a projection that has Garrett Cole ringing up 260 strikeouts this year, the ZiPS projection. And that would lead Major League Baseball, 260 strikeouts, if he does reach the projection. And that's significant because a Yankee pitcher has not led the major leagues in strikeouts since Al Downing back in 1964. The most strikeouts ever by a Yankee in a season, Ron Guidry with 248 in 1978. David, you know what your high water mark was strikeout-wise with the Yankees?
Over 200 a couple of times, I think. You know, in the low 200s, I think. 220 maybe?
97, you had 222. And 98, you had 209. And your career high was 241 with the Mets in 91.
Yeah, that was the year that I got traded, too, to the Blue Jays. Or towards the end, actually 92. But nonetheless, yeah, Al Downing was a great pitcher, underrated pitcher. Love seeing him at Old Timers Day. Kind of missed that last year. I've been looking forward to when the Yankees can do Old Timers Day again. Talking to people like Al Downing is a highlight of that particular day. And I know Garrett Cole feels that way as well. Talking to him so far, I know a lot of these players probably miss the interaction from some of the former Yankees that you always saw in spring training, from Reggie Jackson to Willie Randolph. It's really, really missing to me. Kind of a big hole for some of these current players to not be able to have that kind of interaction.
That one is looped to right field. It is a base hit. Lamar Fields, he'll get the ball in. And moving to third is Garcia. So Cole with 15 pitches so far here in the first inning, and the Tigers threatening first and third with 2 outs, bringing up Nico Goodrum. Cole, such a perfectionist, watching him warm up in the bullpen. When he doesn't execute a pitch in the bullpen, you could see him really disgusted and really get angry at himself. And he talks to the catcher, talks to himself as well. He wants to execute the perfect pitch every single time. That one is lined into center field. It is a base hit. Garcia will score. Ramos will stop at second. Throw comes into second. So an RBI single for Goodrum. And it's 1-0 Tigers.
Looks like maybe a changeup there. The first one of the day here in the first inning from Garrett Cole. A little bit off the end of the bat, but that will work. An RBI single right back up the box.
So he's going to have a quick conversation with Gary Sanchez.
Well, there's that perfectionist part that you were talking about, Michael. On a changeup, he kind of left up just a bit. The first one he threw today.
So here's Riley Green. Riley Green, a former first-round draft pick. Here's what I was talking about with him warming up in the bullpen. He just gets disgusted. You can see it doesn't hinder him at all. It just drives him. Green, the 5th player taken in the 2019 draft. Didn't play last year because there was no minor league season. And as the 5th player taken, you know what his bonus was? $6,180,700. Big time power. He steps out. Count 1-2. Nice block there by Sanchez.
Yeah, you are correct, Michael. This breaking ball down in the dirt. Sanchez anticipates it and smothers it very well.
Three and two. So that's going to start the runners. Wilson's at second. Goodrum's at first. 1 run in. Just underway. Yankees and the Tigers from Steinbrenner Field. And the 3-2. Missed inside. So the inning continues for Garrett Cole. Bases loaded.
And 7 on the land is the catcher, number 34, Jake Rogers.
That'll bring up the 7th batter for the Tigers. Jake Rogers, their catcher. Ramos at third, Goodrum at second, Riley Green is at first. Missing with the breaking ball, and the count 1-0. Fastball right by him, 1-1. So with the bases loaded, working from the full windup. Snap throw to second, and diving back is Goodrum.
Love to see that from Gary Sanchez. Trying to help out his pitcher. You get a pickoff right there, boy, you really save your pitcher. A bases loaded situation, the first inning of the first game. Good try there by Sanchez.
Two and two. Well, Cole is not like two calls by the home plate umpire, Jerry Lane.
Sanchez setting up inside just a bit.
And he goes around, and that will do it as Rogers down on strikes. Tigers get a run, 3 hits, and the bases left loaded. Tigers won. Yankees coming to bat.
The PGA.
Well, the Tigers score a run against Garrett Cole in the first. Here's the Yankees starting lineup. Tyler Wade's at shortstop. He'll lead off. Batting second, the catcher, Gary Sanchez. Aaron Hicks didn't play yesterday. He'll be in center today, and he'll hit third. Jay Bruce in left field will clean up. Batting fifth, third baseman Derek Dietrich. Mike Ford's at first base. He'll bat sixth. Batting seventh, the DH Kyle Higashioka. Ryan Lamar is in right field. He'll bat eighth, and batting ninth and playing second base, it's Tyro Estrada.
They're going to face a young right-hander, Kyle Funkhauser, and you can see in 2020, in 13 games, 11 walks and 12 strikeouts, 17 and a third innings. Just got his feet wet and made his debut last year. Still has a chance to figure into the rotation plans for the Tigers moving forward. As we said, he made his debut last year. He was a college teammate of Chad Green down at the University of Louisville, more known for their basketball program, but yes, the baseball program is pretty good as well, and opportunity is knocking. If you're a young pitcher and you want to be a starter, being a part of the Detroit Tigers roster right now is a good place to be.
Funkhauser deals high. Last year in 52 games, he had 3 homers and 10 ribbies, Wade did. So valuable for the Yankees, can play second, short, third. You can put him in the outfield as well. Blazing speed, and he's got surprising power as well. It's hard to watch Kyle Funkhauser and not think of Curb Your Enthusiasm and the character Marty Funkhauser, the Funk Man. Grounded to first. Pinero slipped to Funkhauser, and there's one away. When we take a look at the Tigers defense, we'll start at first. Pinero's at first, Greg Garcia at second, Nico Goodrum at short, and Jamer Candelario is over third. In the outfield, we'll go left to right. Grossman, Hale, and Green. Rogers behind the plate, and Funkhauser is on the mound.
So, Michael, Larry David, one of your top 5 interviews for Center Stage?
I think he might be number 1.
It's got to be number 1,
Might be number 1, yeah. And knowing Larry David, he might be watching this. He's a huge Yankee fan. The 1-0. Now, David, top of the first inning, we see Sanchez behind the plate. Last year, toward the end of the year, it was Kyle Higashioka. In the playoffs, it was Kyle Higashioka. In the game that decided whether the Yankee season was going to continue, it was Kyle Higashioka. How much does a catcher make a difference?
I think the catcher can make a big difference. You know, it becomes psychological and really hard to quantify at some point when you're dealing with, you know, a pitcher's comfort level. You can go back to 2009 and A.J. Burnett and Molina catching rather than Posada. You know, there's something about taking the stress off a pitcher's mind if you trust who's behind the plate, and not only his signal calling, but how he receives the ball. If you can eliminate one of the distractions in terms of the selection process, if you trust the selection process that the catcher is putting down the right fingers, it takes a world of pressure off of the pitcher. Then you can get into a rhythm and flow and let him kind of lead the dance, so to speak.
It's a tightrope for Aaron Boone. Gary Sanchez is your starting catcher. And if he doesn't catch Cole, he's not going to catch opening day. He's not going to catch the biggest games in the postseason. I think Aaron Boone's trying to get away from that and see if they could work together. But the numbers do jump out when he had Gary behind the plate and when he had Higashioka behind the plate. His numbers are much better with Kyle Higashioka as Gary Sanchez works a walk. But David, I would think that they would go back to it if they're not clicking. Now, it's also unfair to Gary Sanchez, David, because if you look at Garrett Cole historically, he starts off slowly. And that was when Gary was catching him. And then when he starts to get it all together, the arm slot, the rhythm, that's when Kyle Higashioka became the personal catcher and the numbers got better. So you would know better than me if it made that big of a difference, but you think that it could.
Yeah, you bring up, you know, valid points, Michael. You know, the start of the season, Aaron Boone wanting to start with a fresh slate, give Gary Sanchez the opportunity to reestablish himself. With all of that being said, Kyle Higashioka deserves a little time. I mean, he played well last year and showed his defensive prowess. Also some surprising pop in his bat. So, you know, I would not be surprised to see him get more regular time back there, especially if Gary struggles out of the gate.
And there's one wild card in this too, David. Robinson Chirinos caught Garrett Cole with the Astros, and Cole really clicked with Chirinos, had great numbers. But he's a non-roster invite, and we'll see if he makes the team. But that is an outside chance as well that they could pair those two up. 1-1 on Hicks. There's a strike. 1-2. Meredith Morakovitz, who was down at Steinbrenner Field. You have more on the catching situation, Meredith?
Michael, just to give you a little more insight in what's been happening down here in Tampa, while Aaron Boone said he wants all catchers to pitch or to catch all pitchers throughout the course of spring training, whether that's a live BP in a game or just a bullpen, he wants them to be familiar with everyone. I think it is a little telling that Garrett Cole's first live BP, Gary Sanchez was catching. Second live BP, Gary Sanchez was catching. And now this afternoon, he is catching Cole again. Now, you brought up the point that he said going into the season that he doesn't want to necessarily pair Higashioka and Cole solely together like he did the end of last year, but did say, quote, "I'm always willing to do whatever's necessary if I need to."
It does, David, hurt feelings because you mentioned Molina and Burnett. Posada is still chapped about that. All these years later, 11 years, 12 years later, he's still upset.
Agreed. And he will never forget. Catchers are like elephants. They just will not forget. They hold grudges, rightly so, because they have to deal with pitchers who are generally pretty flaky out there at times. You know, but all kidding aside, as you look at the numbers, there's something there. And you mentioned it, Michael, the numbers with Gary Sanchez as opposed to with Kyle Higashioka. Well, those are a stark difference. And ultimately, you figure Garrett Cole can throw to anybody with the stuff he has, but he's so important that you need him comfortable as well. So if he starts to struggle, it's nice to have somebody to go to that can potentially get him out of it.
That's a good at bat there by Aaron Hicks as he works a walk. First and second, that's going to bring up Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce is trying to make this team. And didn't have a good year last year. A couple of years ago when he was with the Mets and they were about to trade him, he thought he was going to get traded to the Yankees. And the Mets, I think, felt a little hinky about sending him across town and helping the Yankees maybe in the playoffs. So they did not trade him to the Yankees, traded him to the Indians. Last year with the Phillies, body wasn't feeling great. Numbers weren't great. And trying to catch on as an extra outfielder here with the Yanks. And you would think that the guy he's going to battle is going to be Mike Tauchman. Well, Jay Bruce can play first base. He can play the corner outfield, either right or left. And he certainly does have power. Made a nice play in left field in the top of the first inning for Cole. Former first-round draft pick for the Reds. 318 home runs in the big leagues, 3-time National League All-Star. In 10 seasons, 20 or more home runs. So you would think, David, that swing would play at Yankee Stadium.
Yes, it definitely would. I mean, he's got a very well-established power-laden career where you know what you're going to get with Jay Bruce. I think the problem is that, you're really going to have to, he's going to have to impress this spring training to push his way onto the roster, because the other options are better defensively than he is. Tauchman's better defensively. Brett Gardner's certainly better defensively. So I still say, Jay Bruce is going to have a hard time cracking this roster, even with his pedigree of having such a good power swing.
And one of the things that Tauchman has over Bruce is Tauchman plays center and plays it very well. In case you have to spell Aaron Hicks, Bruce is not a center fielder. Yankees making Funkhauser work. Runners on first and second, 1 man out. 2-2 count on Bruce. And Derek Dietrich is on deck. Three and two. There's a new Tiger manager, A.J. Hinch. Talk about him a little bit more later, but suspended last year because of his involvement in the Astros sign stealing scandal. He was their manager. So he got suspended, and right after he was suspended by Major League Baseball for a year, he was then fired by the Astros. So he sat out last season, and when his suspension was over right at the end of the World Series, Tigers called him within hours. Get on a plane. 72 hours later, he was a Tiger manager. Strike three. Jay Bruce down looking. Just clipped the inside corner. Now, he has good numbers as a major league manager, does Hinch. Diamondbacks and then the Astros. Won a world championship in 2017. That was one of the years that they did steal signs illegally. And he also had 7 seasons as a major league catcher.
Yeah, Michael, for a lot of Yankee fans, still a very big sore spot. The 2017 matchup, the Astros and the Yankees. Maybe before the game, they should just settle it WWE style, Michael, and have Hinch and Aaron Boone just have a wrestling match. Just get after it. We could televise it for the pregame show. I think Yankee fans would like that.
Well, David, if you're going to have that sort of a situation, you want Dietrich on your side. He's been involved in spring training brawls before. I mean, you look at Dietrich, he is jacked. He's trying to make this team as well. He plays the infield. He can play the outfield. Another guy who's trying to go from non-roster invite to a spot on the 26 man. He can do a lot of things, and he has power as well. Allen is lined into center field, and Hill is right there as Funkhauser works out of trouble. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. We played 1-0 Tigers. We go to the second inning on the Cadillac scoreboard. Tigers lead 1-0. You'll see this is a 7-inning affair, mutually agreed upon by both Hinch and Boone beforehand. And we'll see a lot of that. They have that option until March 13th. They could go 5 innings, 7 or 9. So Cole's day is over, and now his former Pirates teammate Jameson Taillon takes over. 2-time Tommy John recipient, so to speak, David, and this guy has quite an upside for the Yankees after they acquired him from the Pirates.
Yeah, you know, we make a lot of character, you know, and when you talk about athletes and from all sports, you know, a background check and character, but this guy's got it in spades. I mean, he's been through so much in his career, so much in life, and handled it so well. He comes in with such high marks in terms of what type of a person he is.
Well, it's amazing the things that he's gone through, David. He battled testicular cancer. He had surgery in 2017 and then pitched later that season. He was also hit in the back of the head by a line drive off the bat of Hernan Perez in 2016. Stayed in the game. Pitched 6 scoreless innings after he got hit in the back of the head. Has had 2 Tommy John surgeries as well. And really is a top-of-the-line dude from everything that you hear. Very close with Garrett Cole. Cole was not involved in telling the Yankees to get him, but when the Yankees were close to getting him, they made a call to Cole, and Cole said, do it. He's special. Swing and a miss. An arrow down on strikes. Now let's check out today's injury report brought to you by Montefiore, doing more. So the Tommy John surgery, first one was April of 2014. Sports hernia surgery in July of 15. Hit in the head by the line drive in 16. Diagnosed with testicular cancer in 17. And then another Tommy John surgery in 2019. So he missed all of last year and the end of 2019 as well. Derek Hill skies one to right center. Hicks is there, 2 away. Well, the Yankees got Taillon from the Pirates on January 24th of this year for 4 prospects. Ronzi Contreras, one of them. Really, the guy I'm sure they had to swallow hard to send over was Miguel Yajure, who has really good stuff, good pitchability, a right-handed pitcher, one of the 4 guys. And you know, they felt it was worth it because they have 2 years of control of Taillon before he would become a free agent. And Grossman with a fly ball to center. So Taillon with a clean, quick, efficient 1-2-3 inning. Go to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Tigers. Yankee Spring Training on Yes is presented by Montefiore, doing more, and state-of-the-art health care for Westchester, Hudson Valley, and Bronx. So an inning after working with him, Cole has that conversation with Gary Sanchez. We saw that a lot last year, and he breaks things down. What were you thinking? Here's what I was thinking. Did you do a lot of that, David? Or you waited till after the game?
I like to wait till after the game or in between. You know, I didn't want to be a distraction because, you know, I'm already out of the game at this point, even though it's spring training. But I appreciate that Garrett Cole is trying to really make it work with Gary Sanchez, really trying to communicate with him. And that's the type of guy Garrett Cole is. He's trying to be the leader that he is.
See Ethan DeCaster, and jumping out of the way is Mike Ford. So Funkhauser goes 1 inning, and they turn it over to DeCaster. The 2-0 to Ford. Hit sharply. Garcia flips to DeCaster. So score that 4-1. Now, we talked about the relationship between the pitcher and the catcher. Earlier in the spring, Garrett Cole spoke about who he's going to pitch to and what it means.
Whether it's Kyle, whether it's Gary, whether it's Robinson, you know, every pitcher's job is to, you know, try to foster good communication and continue to make a positive impact on those relationships. So, you know, whoever's back there during spring, whoever's back there during the bullpen, you know, your job that day is to try to get your teammate better, and so that's what we'll do.
Now here is the aforementioned Kyle Higashioka, batting 7th as the DH in this game. So just an overview on Cole today. He threw 17 fastballs, 3 swings and misses. His high velocity was 99.5. His average was 98.2. Pretty good for your first spring outing. Knuckle curves, 6 of them, 1 swing and miss. 4 sliders, 1 swing and miss. And he threw 1 changeup. And that was the RBI single to center field. Three and 1 on Higashioka.
And if you look at the Yankees catching situation over the last several years, really, you think about Austin Romine, really establishing himself in the organization, paying his dues, finally getting the shot to be the backup. The same with Higashioka.
And he works a walk.
You know, you really have to appreciate those guys who pay their dues in the minors, wait their turn. And he really showed his value last year in my mind.
So here is Ryan Lamar. Lamar's 32 years old, was in the Cub organization last year, a former 2nd-round pick by the Reds out of the University of Michigan. That was in 2010. He's played with the Twins, the Reds, the White Sox, the A's, and the Red Sox. He's a very good defender. Lifetime .236 hitter, 4 homers and 21 runs batted in. That's in 225 big league at bats. So he's playing the Tigers. He grew up in Michigan. He also was a really outstanding hockey player, a center in high school, and had to decide between a hockey career and then a baseball career at Michigan and thought baseball was the better route for him. On non-roster invite by the Yanks. He's one of those players who hits righty and throws lefty. That one gets away, and Higashioka stays. Interesting fact about Lamar, he hit his first big league home run in 2018. It was in Detroit, 80 miles away from his hometown of Jackson, Michigan. And the oddity about that, you always wanted to get your home run ball back, the first home run. It wasn't that difficult. He had 60 family and friends at the game, and one of the people that was in his group, his uncle, caught the home run ball.
Wow. Nice.
So the Yankees have worked 4 walks today. Their eyes good early in the spring, and that'll bring up Thairo Estrada. So Higashioka is at second. Lamar is at first. Yankees down 1-0. We're in the bottom of the second inning. Kay Cone, Marakovitz with you on this Monday afternoon. Hope you're enjoying the beginning of your week. Nice way to start it with a little Yankees baseball. Ground ball short. It's going to be 2. And that'll do it as Estrada bangs into a 6-6-3 double play. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We've played 2 in Tampa. It's 1-0 Detroit. Welcome back to Yankees baseball at George M. Steinbrenner Field. We go to the 3rd inning with the Yankees down 1-0. One of the sights of spring training. The green grass, the blue sky, the puffy cumulus clouds. Beautiful. Getting us ready for opening day on April 1st. Julius Chassin will take over for the Yankees. So Taillon with a scoreless inning.
Yeah, excuse me, Michael. Chassin, the veteran righty, who actually Aaron Boone has noted has looked good so far in spring training, and they really think of him as more than just a depth piece. He can spot start or be in the rotation or also relieve. He's got a really good slider.
He throws his slider 46% of the time, his sinker about 36%. Big league record of 78 and 87. A 4.04 ERA. 33 years old, out of Venezuela. Candelario with a ground ball to first. Ford's there, steps on the bag, 1 away. We talked about this yesterday, David. That 5th spot is open. We know the 4 spots if everybody stays healthy. Cole, Kluber, Taillon, and Montgomery. The 5th spot up for grabs. There are several candidates, and really this is a situation where the guys that are battling for that 5th spot, they have to show something in spring training. Now, whether or not they have options remaining, that plays into it as well. But that's going to be a spirited competition, and you're going to need more than 5 starters to get through this season, especially coming off a 60-game season. So even if you don't make it now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to contribute later. And the Yankees also know they have the return of Severino in their back pocket. Hopefully the Yankees are looking at maybe July that Severino could return, coming off Tommy John surgery.
Chacin, not only a veteran, but he has postseason experience as well. So battle tested. He was a big part of the Milwaukee Brewers run a couple of years ago and into the postseason, and pitched in the postseason for them very well. So Chacin has been around the block and has a lot of experience.
Here's the rotation and some of the options. So you've got Herman, Davy Garcia, Clark Schmidt's on the IL right now. That's Chacin, walks Garcia. Michael King, who we saw yesterday. And then Severino for later in the year. A lot of this team is set, and a lot of the big decisions will be how the rotation plays out. Ramos with a deep fly ball to center. Hicks back on the track. See ya. Long home run for Wilson Ramos. A 2-run shot. 3-0 Tigers.
Well, you said it, Michael, a long home run. Anytime you can take a fastball off the batter's eye in spring training, you can see Ramos knows it. Watch where this hits. And almost halfway up the batter's eye and the black screen over the center field wall. That is a blast.
Pitch to Goodrum is a strike. David mentioned playoff experience for Chacin. 1.46 ERA and 3 playoff starts for the Brewers in 2018. And he was so good for them in 2018. He was their opening day starter in 2019. And he had a home run in that game. So 12 big league seasons, 7 teams. Rockies, Diamondbacks, Braves, Angels, Padres, Brewers. Brewers again, Red Sox, and the Braves again. So Chacin pitching the 3rd inning. It's a little odd that Taillon pitched a 1-2-3 inning in the second, just 7 pitches. And you would think he's probably going out of the bullpen to get some more, but they might be just being very, very careful with Taillon, who did not pitch last year.
Yeah, it's a good point, Michael, and you could sense that with the Yankees and their 2 signings for the rotation, and Corey Kluber and James Taillon, is that Taillon would need a little more time coming off of Tommy John surgery. You'd be a little more careful with him. As Corey Kluber's injury was kind of in his non-rotator cuff muscles below the lat. And he's had plenty of time to heal, and he's been so sharp this spring so far. You know, Michael, in today's game, when you're a pitcher, there is no hiding because of what Merida told us about, you know, the gas station they have. They measure everything now, your spin rate, not only just your velocity, how hard you're throwing, but your release point, your spin rate. Anything that falls off or anything that doesn't look normal is going to get picked up right away.
Getting word that Tyone did go to the bullpen and finish off the pitch count they wanted for him. As Goodrum heads back after he walks. Riley Green walked in the first inning for the Tigers. Big, strong, left-handed slugger. After he got signed by the Tigers, we mentioned earlier he's a first-round draft pick. He took BP at Comerica Park, which is a huge ballpark. And he hit one 485 feet. And the entire team just stopped and started hooting and hollering. That one is lined over the leaping try of Wade into center field for a base hit. Moving to third is Goodrum. Still one out. There's Jake Rogers. He struck out in the first inning to end the inning with the bases loaded. But it's 3-0 Tigers. We're in the top of the third. He squares the bunt and takes a strike. So one man out, runners on the corners. And he was squaring the bunt. If anything, that's a safety squeeze, certainly not a suicide squeeze. Chip Hale, the third base coach, has a word with Goodrum. Another square to bunt, and that one is bunted foul. Not the greatest technique there, David. He kind of punched at it.
He did. Interesting to see A.J. Hinch, a team incorporating the old Don Zimmer play. And you're right, Michael, that's a safety squeeze, and it is hard to have any effective defense on that play. If you execute the bunt and bunt it softly to first base, the runner from third can almost walk home. It's interesting to see, to me, Michael, and you know, we talked about Theo Epstein, the former Red Sox general manager, Chicago Cubs general manager who retired, has talked a lot about how analytics and some of these steadfast rules of sabermetrics have kind of hurt the aesthetic of the game a bit, and maybe they need to rethink some things, including the running game, those type of plays, a suicide squeeze or a safety squeeze. You know, A.J. Hinch had talked about that in the offseason in one of his interviews about how, you know, maybe we need to take a second look at some of these numbers. And that there is a, you know, a real residual effect to the running game. I can remember pitching in the 80s, Michael, and whenever Ricky Henderson was on base or Vince Coleman, it was a major distraction, and it caused me to make a lot of mistakes. And those are hard to quantify.
Runner goes, throw to second. Not in time, so a stolen base for Green. Well, David, here's what Hintz said about the stolen base, and you'll see as Green picks one up. He said, WAR gets dinged when you get thrown out on the bases. It's not valid, and people are very aware. But winning baseball is good for your WAR, too, even if it's not quantifiable. And another thing he didn't mention in that, but if you do get the stolen base, your WAR goes up. So, yeah, it would go down if you got caught, but if you're successful, it goes up.
Yeah, that's a great point, Michael. And also what it doesn't quantify is how the pitcher feels. The anxiety that you can cause a pitcher, which may result in a mistake. You might hang the slider and it ends up a 2-run home run. So one thing leads to another, and all of these things are part of baseball that are really hard to put a number to at times.
It would seem like it would be an uphill climb because, you know, you're kind of butting heads with WAR and the analytics, and it's the front offices of the teams that are pushing that and that are paying more money for higher WAR. So who wins out there? Chopped to short. Wade gets the out at first. And that'll do it. 2 runs. A hit, the home run by Ramos. 2 men left on base. When we get back, Garrett Cole's waiting. Meredith Marakovitz is waiting. We'll hear from him when we get back right here on Yes.
Welcome back to George M. Steinbrenner Field. I'm Meredith Marakovitz alongside Garrett Cole. Garrett, what do you take away from your first outing of the spring?
Feeling good. Hit the pitch count because I couldn't throw enough good pitches, and I thought we shaped some good breaking balls and executed some good pitches. So today was a good day. Was there something specifically you were working on heading into this outing that you really wanted to try out there? I mean, I think specifically just trying to stay within myself, and feel good when we're, obviously health is major. So feeling good when you're coming out of the first one. Specifically, those two are important. And then, you want your stuff to be, you either want, I guess, kind of good location, or you want your stuff to be kind of moving the way it should. And today, sacrificing a little bit of location certainly, but everything was moving the way it should, so that was good. So much was made last year about who is catching you. Gary Sanchez behind the plate today. He's caught your live BPs. How's that relationship developing this year? I mean, just good. He's got to catch me a few times and took me into this game, and I thought we worked well. We got some good feedback, and we're both looking forward to taking the next step. Former teammate Jamison Taillon, current teammate, but former Pirates teammate and current teammate Jamison Taillon followed you today. What do you think of his potential and really the potential of this Yankees rotation this season? Yeah, I'm excited. Today was a big day for him, getting back on the mound in a competitive environment. Seeing his name in a box score is going to be exciting for him. It's always a big step for guys coming back off rehab to check this box. I thought he threw the ball well. Again, he's been working with Matt and everybody on pitch shapes and trying to bring some more quality out. And he's been doing really well, and he was obviously very sharp today. So really good day for him, and pretty happy for him as well. Did you enjoy hearing some fans in the stands this afternoon? I absolutely did. Yes, I did. Yes. There was like a 3-2 chant. There was some cheers as we took the field. Yeah, very happy to hear some Yankee fans. Hopefully there are even more fans in the future. Garrett, thanks for the time. Yep, thanks, Meredith. Michael, I'll send it back to you.
Hi, thank you, Meredith, and thank you to Garrett as well. 1-0 count on Sanchez. Gregory Soto, the new Tiger pitcher. This puts to rest, David, forever. I mean, players used to always say, we don't hear the crowd. We block it out. The crowd's necessary. I think players in all sports realize how much they need the crowd, how much they appreciate the crowd. It's like the soundtrack to the game.
So true and well put, Michael. And sometimes you don't even realize it until you miss it, until it's gone. I think a lot of players have come to that assertion that, you know what, the energy of the crowd is everything. The reactions of the crowd to certain plays are everything. I remember Michael talking to Ron Guidry, one of the first pitchers back in the 70s, that's where Yankee fans started that rhythmic chant with 2 strikes to get a strikeout. You remember Ron Guidry's 18 strikeout game. And he talked about feeling the pump and the energy.
That one's driven deep to center field. Hill back on the track, looking up over the batter's eye. Oh, what a shot for Gary Sanchez. He put a charge into that, and the Yankees are on the board.
Well, you want talent? It's on display right there. Not too many human beings can hit a baseball like that. And that's what Gary Sanchez brings to the table. And that's why you don't give up on talent like that.
Well, that's the seduction aspect. As David said, that's why when there are stumbles, you plow ahead. You want that. That's what you think you can get. That's what you get offensively that not too many catchers can give you. I mean, what a majestic, towering shot over that high batter's eye in center field. Two and one on Hicks, who walked in the first.
When you talk about crowd reactions, Michael, and how important it is always when you still hear the buzz after a long home run like that. People still kind of processing what they just saw.
That little guy still
Sanchez
waiting to come down.
Yeah, Sanchez almost hit that out on Dale Mabry.
And a walk to Hicks, so he walked twice today, and that's nothing new. That's a pitch he had trouble with last year. A lot of swing through it, not this time.
You talk about velocity too. Soto's got high velocity as well, Michael, and that was a high fastball in the upper 90s.
That one is laced into right center field off the bat of Bruce for a base hit. And Hicks will stop at second.
Beautiful shot there, the launch angle from the side.
And a pinch runner. And that is Trey Amburgey. And Dietrich gets plunked, and from the looks of Dietrich, I think the ball's dented. So there's the new pitching coach for the Tigers, Chris Fetter. And Dietrich does get hit. So among active players, Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs, 155, Dietrich 123. And that's in half the plate appearances than Rizzo. Starling Marte 120. There's Mike Ford. Hicks at third. And Berge is at second. And Dietrich over at first. Now, David, we have not seen each other since the last game of the regular season last year because of everybody pretty much in lockdown. But you see Dietrich there? That's what I'm looking like these days. Been working out a lot during the offseason. You'll see. I'm
Styling and profiling.
Very yoked.
You got, you know, the last thing you need,
under this jacket, you just don't know, but you'll see.
You got to get into Walt Clyde Frazier's closet now. If you got a body like that, it's time to pick it up a notch. Let's go with the Clyde look.
Now you're going to see the similarities here. Look, come on, Swole.
The key, people want to know, Mike, does Michael Kay have any tattoos, any ink?
No ink. That one has popped up, and Ford is out. That ended with my writing career.
Tattoo. Yes, if you did get a tattoo, what would it be?
Wow. That's some question. I don't know.
See ya. Had to have to be see ya.
It would have to be on my back, though, as I'm walking away, you know? Yankee spring training is brought to you by Ford. So the base is loaded in 2 outs. Soto's out, and they bring in Bo Burrows. And it'll be Burrows against Higashioka. Tigers lead 3-1. We're in the bottom of the 3rd. You know, David, I didn't do the follow-up. Do you have ink?
No, I do not. I could never, you know, I couldn't think of anything to do that I wouldn't get tired of.
Chop to 3rd. Candelario will get Higashioka, and that'll do it. But the Yankees get a run on 2 hits, no errors, and 3 men left. Gary Sanchez sends one deep. Remember that ball they found on Mars? Might have company. Well, fans, this Friday afternoon, catch the next spring training game on Yes as the Yankees take on the Tigers again at Steinbrenner Field. Get your weekend started early Friday at 1 right here on Yes. You'll hear Bob Lorenz, Jack Curry, John Flaherty. Getting the gang back together. I think they're in that truck right there. They bring a lot of stuff. Montefiore scoreboard. Top of the 4th inning, 3-1 Tigers over the Yankees, and Nick Nelson is the new Yankee pitcher. Now, speaking, David, of upcoming games, you know, you mentioned this toward the end of the game yesterday. March 15th, March 22nd. I'm going to be reunited, and it'll feel so good, with John Sterling in the booth doing the Yankee games on Yes. This is after a 10-year run, David, on the radio together, where we got to announce 5 World Series, 4 of them victories. Got to do your perfect game, Wells' perfect game, so many great moments, and we have not worked together in 20 years. So we're going to get the gang back together on March 15th and then do it again on the 22nd. We're both really looking forward to it. Fly ball right field as Hill flies out.
We got to watch that one, Michael. That is must-see TV. You and Sterles back together.
Look how much younger I was. John hasn't aged at all, David. He's got a picture of Dorian Gray somewhere. I certainly look a lot different. He's the best.
Didn't it all start with Burn, Baby Burn back in the 90s with John Sterling and his calls?
Yeah, the signature calls during our 10 years together, that was the only one he did. That was the first one, and that was the only one he did. And then over the 20 years since I've been on Yes, it kind of became a cottage industry for him.
So when you left, he just went off. It just developed a whole new realm.
He flexed. I guess I was holding him back, David. Grossman, ground ball to second. 2-away. You see how the Yankees have changed their defense. One of the joys of spring, the way your scoreboard looks after a couple of innings in the spring.
See, John Sterling already had a great call this spring, Michael. Yesterday when he was describing Socrates Brito, saying that the Yankees outfield just got smarter with Socrates out there.
Nice. And there's a strike. So we want you to tune into every spring training game on Yes, but, you know, make it a little notation in your phone. March 15th, it's going to get wacky. It'll be a lot of fun. There's Nick Nelson. Yankees like him. They like his stuff.
Yeah, I thought he was impressive last year, Michael, really, in his first taste in the big leagues. He's got a big-time arm.
Right back to Nelson. He works a nice, clean 1-2-3 inning. Oh, going back in time. It started in 1992. And we get it back together on March 15th. And then do it again on the 22nd. Can we recreate the magic? Doubtful, but we'll try. Now we go to the bottom of the fourth inning at Steinbrenner Field. It's the Tigers 3 and the Yankees 1. And we're lucky enough to be joined here in the bottom of the inning by the Yankee center fielder Aaron Hicks, who had 2 walks today. And Burrows gets a swing and a miss. Aaron, nothing new, I guess. 2 more walks. I mean, that's what you do so well.
I know, man. I swear I'm going up there trying to hit something.
Now, you had said that people don't realize the severity of coming back from Tommy John. And although you played last year, it still wasn't all the way back. This spring, you feel like it's 100% healthy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Just by the way I've been throwing, been able to throw during the infields, throwing the bases and stuff like that. I've been able to create that good backspin to be able to be more accurate and also add velocity.
So what can you do now? You think there'll be more power this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely feels good, especially extending in my swing. So I'll be able to create a little bit more power, especially through the swing.
3-1 Tigers over the Yankees. What is, you know, we asked the guys that we had on yesterday. Let me ask you, fans in the stands, what does it mean?
I love it. I love it, man. You know, be able to, you know, see so many smiling faces, especially when they're, you know, watching the game. It's awesome to see, and we're glad to have them back for sure.
You know, I look at the way this Yankee lineup is put together, Aaron, and you're so vitally important because of a switch hitter. This is a right-handed hitting lineup. What kind of responsibility do you feel being that one guy most of the time from the left side?
I feel like my responsibility is to, when we're facing tough righties, you know, those are my days to kind of help the righties out, you know, by either getting on base or getting hits and coming up big with hits. So that's my responsibility as far as, you know, facing righties.
All right, more importantly, let's talk about your golf swing a little bit. I heard you had a pretty good offseason. I saw a couple videos. Did you get a hole-in-one too?
Yes.
A hole-in-one in there this offseason?
Yeah, I had a hole-in-one at my course in Arizona called Silverleaf. It was on hole number 9, short little par 4, 303. Hit a 3-wood with a nice little draw. It was perfect. Oh. Come on.
Hey, Aaron, you said the other day, oh, don't worry, that stayed in the ballpark, Aaron. You know better than that. You said the other day, 500 plate appearances, you can hit 30 plus. What makes you so confident, and why is that number important to you?
Because, I mean, you know, that's just what I believe I can do. You know, I worked so hard this offseason to be able to come back strong and come back healthy. You know, and that's what I've done so far. And it's been, and my body feels great, you know, to be able to have 500 plate appearances. I don't doubt myself at all to be able to hit 30 plus.
And what was different as far as the workout regimen this offseason, including your elbow, as far as what you were able to do to continue to strengthen that to make sure it stays healthy?
I mean, I went back to my old trainer, that guy that I had, you know, during my best years, my best season here, and you know, he just built the kind of guy he is. Just makes you have confidence in yourself, and, you know, makes you believe in yourself. And you know, also as far as the arm is considered, you know, we did a lot of stuff with strengthening my arm and did a lot of long toss this offseason, and you know, it feels good. Ooh, feels good, really good right now.
All right, Aaron, we thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you throughout the year, and we appreciate you taking some time with us. Thanks.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
You got it. That's Aaron Hicks. Yankees go down in order 1-2-3 against Ben Burrows. We go to the 5th inning. It's 3-1 Tigers. Yankee spring training on Yes is brought to you in part by Cadillac. Visit your tri-state Cadillac dealer and experience the ultimate in iconic luxury. And by FanDuel Sportsbook. There's more ways to win on FanDuel. David, we know you've never hit a home run. In your golfing days, ever get a hole-in-one like Aaron Hicks did?
No. You know, the thing about golf, Michael, is that hole-in-ones usually come on par 3s. That was a par 4, over 300 yards. So, I mean, that's pretty remarkable. I mean, he's got that kind of power. You know, he hits the ball a long way. You know his baseball swing. We've seen him hit the ball a long way, both right-handed and left-handed. He plays golf right-handed. He's got some tremendous club head speed.
Greg Garcia starts off the 5th against Nick Nelson. Now, we've got to send out birthday wishes. Now, the actual birthday is tomorrow, but we're not on the air tomorrow, so we want to do it today. It's a fan by the name of Bert Roberts. Bert is turning 100 tomorrow. 100. He was born in 1921 in Newburgh, New York. He's lived in New York and New Jersey his entire life. One of the biggest Yankee fans that we know. In 1928, Bert's dad took him to his first Yankees game, and he saw Babe Ruth play. So it was that game at the age of 7 that has turned him into a Yankee fan and had a love affair with the Bombers that has lasted for 92 and now, starting tomorrow, 93 years. So happy birthday, Bert. 100 years old. Pretty awesome. There's a strike. This is Cody Clemens, Roger Clemens' son. His 4th son. And he's a prospect. That one is chopped first base side. Nelson tags Clemens on the way by. So Cody is out. Unassisted 1.
Yeah, he is a prospect, Michael. You're right. A 3rd-round pick. And, of course, he went to the University of Texas, just like his dad did. And all of the boys were named with the first letter K, as you can imagine, as Roger Clemens had a lot of those in his career.
Wilson Ramos pitches high. Ramos with a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning. And for those new to the game, the K is the letter you use when you're keeping score when somebody has a strikeout. So all 4 of Roger's sons, their first name started with K. A 7-inning game today, so we're in the top of the 5th inning. The other boys, Kobe, Corey, Casey, and Cody. think he resembles Debbie more than Roger.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Looks like his mom.
Speaking of children of big leaguers, have you seen some of the video of Jack Leiter pitching for Vanderbilt, Al Leiter's son? He's throwing 98, 99, free and easy, right-hander. And if you look at his delivery and his finish, it's the mirror image of Al's. Al, obviously a left-hander, so it's the very definition of mirror image. That's tipped into the glove. Two-way, and David, there's a thought that he's going to be selected in the first maybe 5 to 7 picks of the first round. And the Yankees actually selected him coming out of high school.
Yeah, he looks like a monster on the mound. I mean, what a prospect. Power and pitchability. He's got more pitches than Al had already. I mean, he's further along in his development than Al was, certainly at his age. A true 4-pitch pitcher right now. Good curveball, slider, and a changeup. Al's still trying to learn a changeup.
I remember Jack when Al was with us in the booth. Jack would come up. He's like a little scrawny, like 6, 7-year-old kid, and now he's gigantic. And he throws hard, and he's a very, very nice young man. Wish good things for him. That one is a rip to right field, and it's going to be in front of Beltre. A base hit for Goodrum.
No, interesting, kind of under the radar, and Meredith Marakovits has touched on this, Michael, but you know, we haven't talked about much about Nick Nelson on the mound, but he stretched out here. You could see 23 pitches here, that there is some thought that he could be in the mix for potential starts, a spot starter, or in the future, maybe they view him as a potential starter. So as we watch him stretch out here a little bit in his second inning of work.
Akil Baddoo pinch hitting for Riley Green. Pitch outside.
You could see the starter's repertoire from Nelson. I mean, he's got mid to upper 90s. We saw a curveball already, a big true hook, and then a changeup right there. So he's got a good 3, maybe even 4 pitches to potentially work with. You really find out, Michael, you know, what other organizations think about your players. And Nick Nelson's name came up a lot in the offseason in potential trades or packages. Talent evaluators around the league love him.
Ground ball to Duran over to Gittins, and that'll do it. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. Some of the great Yankee stars. Beautiful shots as we go to break. Talk to Hicks. It's all happening in Tampa. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning of what will be a 7-inning spring training game on the Montefiore scoreboard. Tigers 3 and the Yankees 1. Well, Yankee fans, become a Yankees insider today. Receive the latest video highlights, up-to-date news, features, ticket specials, and more, all delivered free to your inbox wherever you are. Sign up today at Yankees.com/subscribe. And if you already have a Yankees.com account, log in to manage your preferences now. Don't miss a moment. Visit Yankees.com/subscribe today. Zach Hess pitched in 3 levels in the minors for the Tigers in 2019. Didn't pitch last year. You see his numbers, good numbers. Too many walks, obviously. Looking to cut that down, but 33 strikeouts in just under 28 innings. Max McDowell at the plate for the Yankees, and he fouls it away.
I think there's a line from Coming to America, the movie. You know, they get the Coming to America movie 2 coming out, right, Michael? It's not McDonald's, it's McDowell's.
That's right.
The Golden Arcs.
It's a bit high. I think it's coming out this Friday, David.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Big fan of the first one, Coming to America. It's been a long time.
One. Nestor Cortez trying to hook on with the Yankees for a second tour of duty.
Yeah, he's back.
Swing and a miss. McDowell down on strikes. So here is Socrates Brito. David, I'm curious because I've done the math. This is the first time that I will not be in spring training since '87. Have you ever skipped a spring training?
It's an excellent question. Yeah, it's a product. I have to go back a little back from that. '87, I think '82 was probably my first spring training. So yes, you're right. It feels weird. You know, I said before, you know, there's so many things that have been missing. But one of the things I think that I really look forward to as a player was seeing Whitey Ford or Reggie Jackson. Or back in the day, Yogi Berra would show up in spring training. You know, nowadays it's Ron Guidry and Willie Randolph. And those guys are missed, I think. Not only for the players, but for the fans.
That squib the other way against the shift, and Socrates Brito picks up a double.
He wasn't trying to do that. He hits it right off the end of the bat. It works out very well. You can still see the spin on that ball. Full swing into the bat. Cue shot. And that is a double.
Here's Trey Amberge. You know, when Meredith was talking with Garrett Cole, Garrett Cole, if you love baseball, if you're a broadcaster, if you're a writer, you want to be able to sit and talk with him. And that's one of the things. I mean, there's so many things that's terrible about the protocols, but they're all needed and necessary. We understand that. But I think the special that you and Jack did with Cole last spring, that's the last time any of us have really had a chance to sit down and talk to him alone. And you miss that. You really miss a chance to get to know players. So that's certainly been missed for sure. And I was talking to our mutual friend, Bob Clappish, and he said, you can't cover a team the way you used to cover a team and get to know personalities and stories the way you used to over Zoom, because Zoom, everybody's there. You're not asking private questions and you're not getting that sort of information. So that's also missed by the way baseball is covered and digested by fans now.
You know, that was an excellent article that Bob Clappish wrote about that topic that you just brought up, Michael, and it's so true. Sometimes it's not the question that you ask or even the answer. It's how it's answered, the body language, the interaction that writers can pick up on.
Couldn't hold up on that ball, dropping down and away. And the way it is now, it's so managed, and the news that you read is so homogenized. You're not getting that personal touch where if a writer has a relationship with a player, they'll know more. They'll tell them more. They trust them more. Now, boom, you're on a Zoom screen, and you just hope that we can return to those days. Checks the swing. Did he go? No, he did not. So a walk to Ambergi. And I think, David, that's kind of the fear now, because this certainly works, and players don't want to be bothered that much in clubhouses as they're getting ready for ball games. You're one of the rare guys that liked it. I mean, you would call people over day of game that you were pitching. Come over and talk to me. But I think players probably enjoy, you know, this is our responsibility. We'll go to Zoom, we'll sit down for 10 minutes, and then the clubhouse is ours. So we'll see if it ever returns to that.
Well, the object is to grow the game. Excuse me, Michael. You know, as you know, Michael, the object is to grow the game, and everybody has a responsibility, you know, to that. And from the player's standpoint, exactly what you're talking about helps grow the game. It helps the current writers that are covering the Yankees, you know, color their stories more for the fans to be able to understand what's really going on and who these players really are. So even though, Michael, you know, that maybe the players, you know, you're a little more protected now, and you know, you're obviously, you feel like you can control things a little more. You're doing a disservice to yourself, because, you know, the fans that get to know you through the writers and through the coverage can only enhance not only the growth of the game, but you and your brand as a player.
I mean, a perfect example of what we're talking about. We got a chance yesterday during the game to do a full inning with Luke Voit, and you got the chance to know his personality, his humor, and it was great. And that's what people were talking about on social media afterward was Luke Voit and the way he handled it, and you know, the things that he said. And I think you want to get to know the players that you're going to spend the next 6 months with rooting for.
It's a great point, Michael, and that was really nice.
That was not really nice, as Armando Alvarez gets punked with a breaking ball, so the bases are loaded.
Well, we've seen Hess kind of struggle with his curveball, and here's another one. If you're going to get hit with a pitch, that's a nice way to do it. Just a little spinning backup curveball.
So here's Chris Gittens. And we should thank the Yankees for making Voit available yesterday, Hicks today, Garrett Cole today. That's great. The Yankees understand that, you know, fans want to see their players. They want to hear from them. So thank you to the Yankees media relations for making that work. We do appreciate it. Bases loaded. Count 2-0.
You know, they say that announcers and writers are frustrated ball players. I think it's the other way around, too. I think Luke Voit wanted to do his own home run calls yesterday. You can see him jump in there, and a lot of those players, they want to be broadcasters sometimes, too.
Yeah, I stepped on his home run calls.
He was great. He was jumping right in there.
So, again, thank you to Jason Zillow and his staff. They're doing such a great job keeping us, you know, we're at remote locations, and we know everything that's going on, all the substitutions. They're doing an unbelievable job, and we thank them. Thank the whole staff.
You know, Michael, that's it. I should send a challenge down to the Yankee current players. And come on air. We'll give you a chance to do your own home run call. We'll see how good you are. Do your practicing. Let's see your chops. Come on, do a half inning and call a few plays. So I'm sending an official challenge down to the current Yankees. Let's go. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, and as you and Paul O'Neill and John Flaherty have shown, you can make a living after the game, you know, if you're good with those calls. And Ken Singleton. 3-2. Oh, did he crush that? Deep to left center field. There it goes. See ya. A grand slam for Gittens. That almost hit Dale Mabry, and the Yankees take the lead. What a shot.
Well, we've been hearing about Chris Gittens for the last couple of years in the minor leagues and about his power potential. One of the best power prospects that the Yankees have in their system, and he just showed it off in a big way.
So after Gittens powers a grand slam, they're going to remove the Tiger pitcher. Dare I say it? Hess has run out of gas. New Tiger pitcher is Andrew Moore. He's thrown 2 pitches to the pinch hitter Austin Wells. You see Moore's numbers from 2019. Wells fouled off the first, swung through the second, so the count 0-2. Yankees now lead this one 5-3 in the bottom of the 5th. Rounded up the middle and through for base hit. So a single for Wells. Boy, David, we have seen 2 gargantuan home runs. One off the bat of Sanchez, and then the grand slam by Gittens. Austin Wells, 5th-ranked Yankee prospect. He was their #1 draft pick in 2020. Never really got a chance to play. So now seeing his first action, and he picks up a single in his first spring training action with the team.
Yeah, and showing why he was the #1 draft, because his bat will play.
Beltre. Fly ball to left. Robson's there. Yeah, Austin Wells a catcher. And the bat probably a little bit ahead of the defense at this point, but you're a first-round draft pick. They expect big things from you. And as David said, the bat does play. Well, they don't give him the baseball for that, but when he does it in the Bronx or on the road, they'll get that baseball. There's a strike. Ezekiel Duran at the plate. Laced to right field, foul.
Michael, you mentioned that this is the first spring training you've missed since 1987.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Yeah, those were the Fort Lauderdale days, right? Yeah, because it was the Lauderdale days for Yankee spring training. Now, obviously in Tampa since 1996. George Steinbrenner Field.
Duran says no moss. He goes down on strikes. Giddens just crushes Hess deep into left field. Almost hit the Hess sign. Instead, he got himself a grand slam. Yankee Spring Training on Yes is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official SUV of the New York Yankees. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Nestor Cortez Jr. takes over on the mound. Now, earlier today, Meredith Marakovits had a chance to talk with Derek Dietrich, my body double.
Derek, when you found out the Yankees were interested this offseason, what made that opportunity appealing for you?
Well, putting on the pinstripes has always been a goal of mine, I think, for any aspiring baseball player, and it's no different for me at 31 years old, and you know, been playing pro ball for 11 years. When the Yankees came calling, it was just it was a no-brainer for me. I've always wanted this opportunity, and you know, we had conversations in years past, but to have this opportunity now, I wanted to jump at it. I mean, the reputation of the New York Yankees and the will and the desire to win a World Series every single year is something that, you know, I wanted at this part of my career, and I'm happy to be here.
Jamison Tyone said when he first put on that uniform, he took a selfie, sent it to some family members. Was it a special moment for you when you first put on the uniform?
Yeah, well, today I'll officially put it on for the first time, and I was a little bummed because I saw the boys wearing the full pinstripes yesterday, and I think that was like a one-time deal in spring, and we're wearing the blue tops today. But nonetheless, to don the Yankees logo and be out here with the guys is a blessing in itself. But it is special when you see that jersey hanging in your locker. It's a feeling that I've always wanted, and now I have it.
Do you ever think about how your swing might play at Yankee Stadium?
Absolutely. A lot of people have reminded me of that over the years. A lot of people in baseball have always expressed that I'd look good in a Yankee uniform, or I obviously would, you know, hopefully hit well in that ballpark with left-handed power, and with the fans and the energy that the Yankees, you know, organization and all the fan base provides. I mean, I'm glad that we're going to have fans this year, and I'm hoping to electrify, you know, that park in some sense.
Was Giancarlo Stanton one of those guys that said, "Hey, you'll look good in pinstripes now"? I know you guys spent a lot of time together with the Marlins.
Yeah, Big G, and that's we laughed about it. You know, we work out some in the off season in Miami together, and we obviously maintain contact. We had great years together in Miami, so to be back on the field and be in the same clubhouse with each other is cool. I mean, you get to know so many people in the game, and when you've played, you know, 10+ years. But G is special, and you know, I'm very happy that I get to see his face every day.
There you go, Derek Dietrich, who's trying to make this team with a good spring training. Very versatile. He could play The outfield could play the corners. He's got power, and his swing could play well at Yankee Stadium. But he has some numbers working against him. We'll see how it plays out over the spring. Danny Woodrow pinch hits for Derek Hill, and Woodrow takes a strike from that man, Nestor Cortez, who's retired the first 2 last year with the Mariners. Former 36th round pick by the Yankees in 2013, but made it to the big leagues. There's a base hit off the bat of Woodrow. And we mentioned Dietrich with that swing that could play at Yankee Stadium. This is some of the pop that he shows, David. A little swag, too.
Oh, yeah. Styling and profiling.
Oh, yeah. Robson takes the strike. He's got the bat drop down, you know, the look, the lean, it's all there.
Well, I don't know about you, Michael, but talking about broadcasting, giving the players a chance and calls, you know, my dream is to broadcast a baseball game with Walt Clyde Frazier just one time, just to hear some of his sayings. Because they do translate. They can. A lot of his sayings, you can use them in baseball.
Yeah, when you hit a home run and you sit and stare, it's power and glower by Dietrich. Cortez works a scoreless 6th. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th.
Today, following the game, keep it right here for the Michael Kay Show and get instant analysis of this game, plus the hottest sports topics in New York and beyond. Catch it today after the game and every weekday afternoon right here on Yes. David, I don't know if you know somebody that's on that show, but I think I might know somebody that's on that show.
Interesting.
The commute's going to be a killer. It really is. But I'm ready. Jason Foley deals to Andrew Velasquez.
Well, your studio set looks better than mine, Michael. I mean, you're a professional there. You got to work in there. So you don't really have to go anywhere, right? It's all right there.
Grounded to short. Well, I do have to go somewhere. I have to go upstairs. It's a different setup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Upstairs is the radio show, and down here in Studio K, that's the TV episodes.
Wow.
I guess mine's a little bit bigger than yours, right, David? Because you're kind of constrained there.
Yeah, but you can't make a drink in yours. I can mix you up right here.
David Cohn, mixologist. There's actually, I mean, I don't want to lift the curtain too much, but there's a sink behind you, right?
Yes, there is a sink. I'm sitting down.
You look like a bartender.
I am a bartender. I'm a wannabe.
There's David. He's got the globe, which is always important.
Yes.
In the sink.
Little messy. Little messy.
Grounded to short. Now, if I remember, David, you were a bartender at the, unfortunately, no longer there Foley's. Hopefully it returns at some point. But that's a great place that the sports writers and sports people loved. But you actually bartended at Foley's, right?
Yes, a couple of times. One time without lighter for charity. Sean was so great there for so many years. It is one of the casualties of obviously COVID and the inability to stay open. Hopefully they will resurface because Sean is such good people. Such a great place to have for everybody who's involved in baseball, from the scouts to the writers to the players, anybody, fans, used to show up there at Foley's.
There's a strike to Brito. And who's on the mound but Jason Foley? Now, David's not out there. If he was in Tampa after the game, he'd be out there.
Yes.
Ground ball left side. And they just get Brito hustling down the line as Foley works a 1-2 inning. We go to the 7th. Yankees up by 2. Yankee spring training brought to you by our good friends at Ford. Want to remind everybody tonight on Yes, do not miss the hottest team, the team with swag, one of the best teams in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, as they head to San Antonio to battle the Spurs. Live coverage starts at 8 o'clock right here on Yes. Just had their 8-game winning streak snapped, looking to start another one against the Spurs. Now here's an impressive youngster, Albert Abreu. We saw him last year in 2 games, his major league debut against the Rays. But David, he has filthy stuff.
He does. He's always had a big-time arm, upper 90s with his fastball and a really good curveball to go with it. And I believe he is out of options too, as they say. So he either sticks on the team or he probably is going to be traded, potentially lost, because once you are out of minor league options, you can't be sent back, and you are exposed to the waiver wire. You could potentially be picked up by somebody else.
He throws hard, average velocity in the minors about 97. He can hit 101. His problem is he does not locate that well, and he's going to pitch the final inning of this game. This is a 7-inning spring training game. We will still see Albert Abreu here and see if he can command. That's the important thing. Now, he's been a starter in the minors, 124 games in the minors, just 20 relief appearances. 10th ranked Yankee prospect. And they got him in the Brian McCann trade with the Astros. That one is lined into left field. It is a base hit, and Berge will get the ball in. So a leadoff single for short. Stream every regular season game live or on demand with MLB.tv online or on your favorite supported devices, as well as select spring training games. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. So here is Clemens. Now, because of the shortened season last year, 60 games, and the fact that there wasn't a minor league season, Albert Abreu has never pitched in AAA, ever. So he went from the lower levels of the minors to the majors last year, and as David mentioned, out of options. Can't send him down without exposing him to other teams picking him up, and you know that somebody will take a chance on an arm that could throw 101. So the Yankees either have to decide he'll make the team, or you don't want to lose him for nothing, David, so they would probably have to deal him.
Yeah, he's obviously a potential trade piece as well at this point.
Hit sharply. Let's see if they turn 2. Nope, Story got back. Or Short got back. So Clemens hit it well, but right at Velasquez. So 1 away. Here is Dylan Dingler pinch hitting for Ramos. Pitch high. Now Abreu's repertoire, 4-seam fastball about 51% of the time, changeup about 23% of the time. Slider about 19% of the time. So he's got the pitches, he's got the arsenal, but he has to locate them better. Fly ball, shallow left, and he's going to dunk in for a base hit for Dingler. So Short moves to third. Dingler has himself a double. And now the tying runs in scoring position here in the 7th inning against Abreu. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. Here is Rodriguez. So second and third, one out. Infield is back. They'll give up the run. They don't want Dingler to score. Pitch outside. Tigers are trying to put more wins on the board this year. They've had more losses than any team in baseball since 2017. Good breaking ball for a strike.
Doesn't seem like that long ago, Michael, that the Detroit Tigers had both Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander in their rotation.
Swing and a miss, 1 and 2. Well, this is the futility we're talking about. Last good year was 2016. Ron Gardenhire, veteran manager, retired with 8 games left last year. Roy McClendon took over the final 8 games, and then A.J. Hinch hired on October 30th after a year suspension. And they have a lot of good young talent in the pipeline, especially pitching. And their top pick is Spencer Torkelson, who actually cut his finger in a household accident trying to open a can the other day. But he was the first pick of the draft, the entire draft last year. So they're excited about Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah, he's an everyday franchise type player, big bat. Casey Mize on the mound too, another big time prospect.
Right in on the hands, popped up. And Abreu makes the play. Had to fight the sun. Pitchers don't like to catch those pop-ups, David.
Well, those are the ones that you never live down. If you clank this one tomorrow in pitchers fielding practice, everybody's going to be all over you. See, he's battling the sun there a little bit. Nice recovery. But if you don't make that play, boy, you're going to catch some grief.
You got that in the heel, not even in the web. So the Tigers are down to their final out. Remember, a 7-inning game here in the spring. And here's Baddoo. Second and third. Tying runs at second. Yankees up 5-3. And McDowell wants to talk with Abreu. Abreu is the 6th Yankee pitcher. We've seen Cole, Tyone, Chacin, Nelson, 2 scoreless innings, Cortez, and now Abreu. The Yankees lost their spring opener yesterday to the Blue Jays, so trying to even up the Grapefruit League record at 1-1 with a victory here today. So Short's at third. Dingler is at second. 2 men out. Swing and a miss. That's a nasty pitch, David.
Yes, I mean that's the thing that just lights you up about Abreu for several years. It's not only the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, it's that kind of curveball to go with it.
There it is again, 0-2. Filthy. Abreu trying to close it out. 5-3 Yankees. 2nd and 3rd. 2 men out. 7th inning. The 0-2. And that one gets past McDowell. Comes right back to him. Flips to Abreu, but sliding in ahead of the tag is short. And Dingler moves to 3rd with the tying run. It's 5-4 Yankees.
Get another look. Pretty good ricochet. Easily could have been a play, but Abreu's a little late getting there. If Abreu's there, it might have been a close play. You see Abreu's a little late breaking.
So now the tying run is 90 feet away. 1-2 count. Grounded to short. Grabbed there by Velasquez. Over to first, and the Yankees win. So the Yankees beat the Tigers 5-4. Abreu hangs on here in the final inning. Big home run for Gittins, a grand slam. Long home run for Gary Sanchez over the batter's eye in center. And the Yankees with a good Monday afternoon at George M. Steinbrenner Field. We'll put a bow on it when we get back right here on Yes.